felek saldın beni cevri cepağa Hey felek saldın beni cevri cepağa Derdim bulgaç yıkılap demek sen bir vapağa Derdim bulgaç yıkılap demek sen bir vapağa
Welcome window to China and the Xinyu Round 1. Today I have 5 lovely ladies. Welcome you guys. Can you introduce yourself please?
My name is Elizabeth King, and I am getting my master's in public policy from Georgetown, and I am very involved in my community in Arlington.
I'm Jennifer Boysko. I currently work for Supervisor John Faust in the Drainsville District of Fairfax County. I ran for House of Delegates in the 86th District last year, and I plan to run again in 2015. Thanks for having us.
I'm Julie Copeland. I'm the Executive Director of Emerge Virginia. Thank you so much for having us here today. I'm very honored to have been working with these women, and 21 altogether for the last 6 months, and we're so happy to be here to talk about it today. Thank you.
And I'm Joan Neal, and I am an independent consultant and strategist, and I work mostly with nonprofit organizations, but I'm very, very interested in public policy, which is why I became connected with the Emerge program.
And I'm Rosemary Mahan, and I serve as the supervisor for the Board of Supervisors in Westmoreland County, located in the Northern Neck.
Welcome to you all.
The mission of Emerge Virginia is to elect more Democratic women to office. We are part of a national network. There are 14 states that currently train. It's a 6-month training program, about 70 hours of training. We just trained Democratic women, started in California in 2002. There are now 1,300 women who have graduated from the program nationwide, and the statistics I think are pretty good. Of the 1,300 women who have graduated from the program, 43% of them have run for office, and 60% of those have won.
How do you select the ladies? I think they are very successful, right?
Yes.
How about talk about each of you? What have you achieved so far?
Well, some of the things that I've been involved with, I got involved in a local school board campaign in Arlington and learned a lot about the issues that Arlington faces, especially when it comes to schools. And I am going to be volunteering teaching low-income adults how to use computers in the fall. And, you know, very involved in Georgetown where I go to school. So I'm going to be holding some seminars for our students in the program about how to negotiate, about how to poll, how to get involved in politics, because I believe that women and young people should get as involved as possible in politics.
How are you going to start?
Well, because I ran last year, I already have a team working with me, and fundraising is one of the most important aspects of it. Unfortunately, you have to be able to ask people to get behind you and financially support you. So I'll spend most of this year working on that, as well as continuing to maintain my relationships and remaining active in my community, helping solve problems. I work for Supervisor Faust, and my job is to go out into the community, help make sure that people have the connections they need with our local government so that they have their needs met as far as transportation, but I've also worked with our school system, with our health and human services system, and with our consumer affairs system. Right now I'm working with the Economic Advisory Commission and with the Audit Committee. So I'm really...
You just got appointed, right?
I was just appointed by Governor McAuliffe for the Real Estate Commission for Virginia, and look forward to learning more about that and seeing what that's all about.
That's the reason you selected her into your class. Talk about how unique your training class.
Sure. We have a written application online that opens in the fall, and you can go to our website at emergeva.org and get more information on that. It's a 2-step process. We have a written application, and then we score those. Our board of directors scores those, and then we invite people in for in-person interviews. And we try to select a class that we know will come together and work with each other. A big part of the program is creating the cohort of women to support each other, which I think hopefully all of you would agree has been a big part of this process, is coming together and supporting each other, so that when somebody decides to run for something, hopefully the first 20 people they call are the other women in the class, and then everybody writes a check and are there to support you. And certainly then the national network is also there. We try to, after these women graduate, they will be part of that national network, and nationally we do a webinar once a month to keep the learning going and the connections with the alumni going. And so the selection process is a rigorous one, and it's a two-step process at least, and everybody has gone through that. And we had, I think we had almost 40 people apply last year, and of those that finished, we then went through that two-step process and came up with the 21 women that are in the class today. So we're excited to.
If someone don't have any experience, like in politics or something, do you think possible they can join in your class?
Absolutely, and that's been the really interesting part for me, is that we have met some new women who have not been necessarily part of the democratic process in the past, who are very passionate about public policy and running for office, and they're attracted to this program, I think, because it's not part of the regular structure, right? Yeah. And it brings people in, and everyone is welcome, and as long as you have the passion and the interest in it, it is definitely something for somebody who doesn't have to have run for office before. And I think the really interesting thing for me is for the women who have run or who serve in office, they bring that experience to the class, right? And then everybody else's life experience, which is all different, which is important to what I think we're doing in the process, that they have the opportunity to sit with each other and share with each other their experience. So Jennifer, having run before, was important to those people who've never run before, right? To hear the real truth about it. It's not often you get to sit and have that discussion with people, or what it's like to actually serve, and the change between running for office and serving in office is a big thing, and people have a lot of questions about that. So I don't think you have to be part of the structure or have been a candidate before. We welcome everybody who is interested, and it's about having a passion for it and being willing to be open about.
Great to hear that. Joan, you are in the 2014 class, right? Yes. What is the favorite part in this class you remember?
Oh my, well,
a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that we learned essential things about, you know, how to run a political campaign, how to manage, you know, a political campaign, and once you win, how to manage a political office. Just, you know, the rigors of campaigning, which I think is part of the reason why some women decide not to run, because they do think that it is a rigorous process, and we learned that it is. But I also think that we don't often have the tools. You know, we don't know the specific steps and how to go about making your desire known, because I don't know that, you know, we all have the opportunity to be recruited by, you know, other people who are currently in office, or even any of the political parties. So if we have that desire, the question is, how do we move forward on that? And I think that's one of the things that we learned here in this program. But there were so many things, not the least of which is to meet all these wonderful women and to be able to share our own experiences and our backgrounds and our interests.
I think everybody has the experience, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Rosemary. So why do you think women rarely run office? It's hard for them to start run office. Why?
Well, I believe that a lot of women don't have a lot of confidence in themselves. So this program, if it doesn't do anything else, if you don't want to run for office, it at least helps you learn to have some self-confidence in yourself, not be so critical of your own offerings, realizing that everyone has something to offer is a big step forward. And so I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons why women don't run. They just believe that that's not a place for them. They've been told that it's not a place for them. And I think it's time that they learn that we need them. We need women's opinions. We need women running in office.
Yeah. You are already in the office. So what do you say for women? So what is beneficial? What you can do for people if you run higher office?
Well, one of the things that one of my constituents told me this week, in fact, was that he felt like I had finally brought some confidence back for him in the government, in public office. You know, I think a lot of times we have representatives who do not truly represent the people that they are supposedly representing. Their constituents they feel disenfranchised. And I think that's one of the things that I've worked really, really hard to try and do, is make sure that a lot of times I don't have a skin in the fight, but I will fight for them. And that's what's important, is that you put yourself out there and make them understand that you're part of them and you're with them. And that for me has been the biggest, I feel, success story for me.
I agree. So you mentioned confidence and competence. Which one do you think is more important for women, competence or confidence?
Go ahead.
I think you have to have both. One without the other is not going to work.
Right.
You have to prove that you're as good as the guy standing next to you, who's probably taller and more substantial. You have to do it in high heels typically, and make yourself pleasant and likable. Women are held to a different standard, I believe, than a lot of men are. And if you're not confident and competent, you're not gonna win. You're not gonna bring it to the table.
But do you think as a woman and a man is different to think about the confidence and you know, competence? They think they need more, have like more than 100%. Maybe they think about the confidence. What do you think?
I think what we know, I mean, there's studies that women have to feel 100%. You know, if there's 10 things on a list, of what you need to run for office, women think they have to have 10 or 11. And men are like, I've got 4 of those, I can do this. And I think it's just the way women, we think about things. That we have a postcard that you can recommend a woman to take the program, and it gives a statistic that women need to be asked to run 6 times. So I can't just ask you to run once. I have to ask you 6 times to tell you you're qualified enough to run. And most women, my experience in this process has been that most women are like, oh, I never thought of that, or that's crazy. But what I find is most all of you have been asked to run. Somebody's come to you and said, you would be great in office. And women kind of sometimes just blow that off and say, oh, not me. And so the confidence is a real thing. It's not just that men are stepping up more. Well, they are, and truly women don't think they're qualified when they are very qualified. And so that's part of what we talk about here, is that women feel better when they have all the tools. I think part of what we do is we answer some of the questions they don't know how to get the answers to, which makes them feel more competent in checking off the list. It's not so much that we say, you're qualified, go do it. We give them the tools of the things that they feel like they haven't checked off the list yet, so that now they do have all 10 things, and now they do feel more confident to run. And it is an actual thing. It's not just a stereotype that I think we find it all the time. And when we talk with each other, I think we find that among ourselves, right?
I think that's true. You know, I think that you know, if you're a woman, if you've managed a household, you can manage a political campaign. You can manage, a political office. Absolutely, but I don't think that we necessarily see the transferability of the skill sets that we have, and that's part of the competence issue, I think.
Do you mentioned the household? You can manage that. You can manage something bigger.
Sure.
How about, do you think a woman candidate to run the office, do they consider that's a home family work, and then they need to take care, they don't have enough? That's the part of the reason?
Well, I'll tell you, in my town, the mayor has young children. She's a woman. My kids babysit for her every Tuesday, so that she has her child care covered, and then she can go to her meeting. We have to take care of each other like that, because otherwise women primarily are still the caretakers in our families, and we have to be there for one another to pick up those pieces. It's very difficult to put your whole life on hold for a year, but if you know that you have the support of folks and the support of your family and the support of folks who believe in you, you can do it. We're asked make those considerations when quite often men, it never even becomes an issue for many men, even though they might have small children as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wondered, see a woman for governor, woman for Mark Warner, woman for president. So you have ever heard about men for some Window to China and Xinyu has reached out to the hundreds of Chinese community, Asian community, and American community on performance, interview in education, politics, culture, etc. It's a link for all the communities. Xinyu and Judy Wu, the publisher AC Business, are making joint efforts to promote the program on Newspaper Weekly. Window to China and Xinyu is a 30 minutes long English program. It will be available on YouTube, Facebook, Google+, AC Business News by keywords Window to China and Xinyu. Do you think we need like our society support and our family support, our elected officers support? What do you think?
I think that, well, it's known that women are not a statistical minority. We're 52% of the population, but we are a sociological minority in that we do not hold as many positions of power. And we can't ignore that fact. So it is unfortunate that we have to rally around women for, or have organizations that are, you know, just for women, but there's a reason, and we have to, you know, unfortunately, that's how it is. So it is important for us to give each other the tools to run for office. And one of my favorite days of our Emerge training was when every woman in our program went around the room and had to say in 2 words why she wanted to get involved in politics. And it was government transparency, or equal opportunities, or the environment, or education, and everything that they said was, these are women who care so much about their communities, and that's why we need them to run for office. It's not just because they're qualified, it's because they are going to go into office and they're going to make their community better. So we have to encourage women, because they're raised not to think of themselves as leaders. We have to go out of our way to tell them that we need them.
I think you mentioned the important things. Why you run office? That's individually probably is different. Start with you. Each of you have to tell why you are considered run office or potentially.
I originally ran in 2007 for school board, and won mainly because of my children. I have a handicapped daughter who has cerebral palsy, and so I had followed her education for so long. But then I had a new stepdaughter, and I was seeing things in the school that I was concerned about. So I decided, instead of being a person who just complained a lot, I wanted to step out, and so I chose to run and got into the school board. And then due to some funding issues and things I was learning, I decided, maybe I need to be on the other side of the fence and help push for some of those fundings rather than try to pull. But I have thoroughly enjoyed, and do thoroughly enjoy, my time on the Board of Supervisors in all aspects. I've gotten involved in economic development and tourism and criminal justice board, and so many other aspects that you just don't get when you're on a small scale. So that's how I got involved. If you had asked me 10 years ago if I would be in politics or I would be a politician, I'd have told you were crazy, and yet I thoroughly enjoy it now because I feel like I'm serving the public.
Good.
Yeah, I would echo some of those same things that Rosemary just said. I think I never thought of politics as a career move for me. And so it's still dawning on me that perhaps that's an area where I can make a contribution. But I would say that I'm interested in getting involved because I have strong feelings about how society should live together, how people should treat each other in society, how opportunities should be open to everyone in society. And I realized early on that the only way to make that happen is for there to be systemic change, which politics and advocacy help to move forward. And you know, my parents always said to me, don't stand on the sidelines and just complain, get in there and do something. So that's why I'm here.
Great.
So I will say that I am not a future candidate for public office, but you know, things can change in 10 years. Check in with me again. But I will say that having worked with this organization and these women, I have definitely found this as my passion, and continuing to help women run and win office is what I will continue to do.
That's great. I decided to run for office in the end of 2011. I had actually volunteered for the gentleman who holds the seat now many years ago. And I watched the General Assembly moving further and further to the right, really focusing on very socially divisive issues instead of the meat and potato kinds of things that we really need them to work on. And he started voting with those people. And I decided, after having conversations, to ask him to please think about his constituents. Decided that I was going to challenge him, and that's what I did. I lost by only 32 votes out of nearly 21,000. And
Did you cry?
you know, I didn't cry because when I started, people laughed at me and they kind of patted me on the head to think, oh, aren't you cute to try to run against him? Good, yeah, you do that. You know, they were they were really, you know, they kind of treated me as though there would be no chance for me.
I think you did a great job. How much money you raised last time?
I feel really proud of the work that we did. I had a big group of people who was standing by my side. I had, you know, hundreds of volunteers and over 8,000 donors, most of them less than $100. So people did hear what I had to say, and I've learned so much, and I'm not going to give up. I'm going to do it again.
If someone refused you, like, so, no, do not come here again, I'm not interested, how you send out your message to them, so please vote for me? How?
Well, like, you know, I think you have to respect if someone has made their decision. You listen to their reasons. You know, ask if you could have a conversation with them, and you actually listen to what they have to say, and you treat them respectfully. You're not going to win all the votes. You're not going to change everybody's mind. But if you listen to them and you treat them with respect and dignity, and you let them know that their opinion matters just as much as yours does, you at least leave the door open for a future conversation. And that's what I've always tried to do. I come from a family of Republicans and Democrats, and that was the way I was raised, to have a respectful discussion and debate, understanding that everybody has the right to their opinion, and that's our society, right?
Yeah, I think it's a mutual practice, access, because you always can learn from people. You run for people, not for yourself.
Right.
So that's the reason you have to listen to them.
Right.
Okay, how about you?
I first started getting involved in politics with environmental issues. When I was in high school, I went to Washington, D.C. to lobby to preserve different wilderness areas, and I've raised money in the past to preserve local nature reserves. And I'd say, piggybacking on that, one of my biggest concerns now is to help create more clean energy jobs. I think it would help the economy and the environment at the same time.
So great, you guys. So we don't have like a woman governor yet in Virginia, woman president yet. You guys will run? Any of you? No?
Hopefully all of them.
So we've only ever had one woman serve statewide in Virginia ever, Mary Sue Terry, who served as Attorney General for 2 terms. We've only ever had 3 women in Congress, only 1 Democrat in Congress. The reality is that we are ranked 41st in the nation in the legislature. 17% of the legislature is women, and that includes the Republican women. When you take out the Republican women, we have 11% of the legislature is Democratic women, and we're ranked 41st among the states. The good news, part of what I think is important for what we're doing here, is that when women run, other women run. It's important.
Yeah, it's like simple.
Yes.
People just look at
Yeah. So, you know, there are women who saw Jennifer run and say, I can do that. I agree. And so the more women we have run, and you don't always win the first time, second time's a charm, right? But the more women who run, more women run. So it's important that we're doing this work and we continue to march forward. But we are a long way, you know, from having more women in the legislature, more women running for Congress, more women running for statewide office. Absolutely. And I think that this is part of the goal. We call it building the bench in politics, to put women on the school board, women in local office, county board of supervisors, and then they can step up and run for House and Senate and run for Congress and run for governor. Absolutely. So that's part of our mission, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think one of the great jobs that you and the board did in putting together our first class of Emerge Virginia was it's full of women from all walks of life. And it's so important for other women to see women from every walk of life run. It's not just one type of woman that can run. It's anyone who cares about their community.
Exactly, Elizabeth. The diversity is just, they did a wonderful job. And that's what I think we also need to see, or more women, the diversity that reflects the community that they're serving.
One of the things we have to recognize is that this country is a very diverse country and getting more diverse. And so the interests and the needs of communities all over need to be listened to.
Thank you, guys. I think Emerge Virginia really means something to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm so happy you're here today. Thank you for watching. We will see you next time. Say bye-bye.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it so much.
Yeah.